Hello, and let's talk about your final PBL Interactive Health Questionnaire. I will give you an example of where you can start. This video is not going to do the whole thing for you. I repeat, it is not a follow exactly I do, we do, you do situation, but it is an example and it does give you a starting point, okay? So in this example, I'm going to use diabetes as my research topic, and obviously whatever I say about diabetes, if that is not your research topic, that is not necessarily what you type. You are going to put in prints that pertain to your own research. But to get the code started, basically what we want to do is we want to create some type of a document where the user, being the person that comes to see you during the showcase, can interact with the computer and get information about the health topic that you picked. Okay, so I've done this very basic. We're going to go through a couple questions that I've created, and if you like this format, you are welcome to use my format and continue on and finish with your 9 questions. So the first thing I did is I changed all of this header comment tag up here. We didn't need all of this from our 2.5 Code Your Own. Keep in mind that we are not doing what we normally would have done with this 2.5 Code Your Own. We are just using it as a blank slate to allow us to write our code. So in here, I put in the title of the assignment, PBL Interactive Health Questionnaire. I followed it up with the topic that I picked. And then right here for title, I just added in diabetes type 2 because that's the topic that I'm going to work with. The next thing you see here is a comment tag that I added in to create a variable to store answers from the user. I actually decided to create my variable way down here. Right there's my variable answer, and then I've got my input, but I can certainly put this here as well. I could say answer gets Y, okay, and it's just a place value, it's just a holder, okay. Answer is going to sit there and hold the Y until we get down to the bottom. I'm going to put that there just for a second. So in line 12 ish, I have explained what this interaction questionnaire is about. So to start us off here, we want to make sure that people understand why they're even clicking through this stuff in the first place. So I've added in 2 prints. First print says this is an interactive questionnaire and will teach you about type 2 diabetes. The second one says don't worry, if you don't know, I will help you. Okay. I could also maybe tell them that there's going to be a quiz later and we could code for that. We could do all kinds of things at the very beginning. But this is just kind of your setup to get us started at the very beginning. And that's separate from what comes later. So I'm just going to kind of put this in here just to indicate to you that that is kind of its own thing. And now we've got some empty spaces for spacing. And that's what these are. And then we start with question 1. And again, these are my own comment tags that I've created. You need to create your own comment tags. Yes, you have to have comment tags for this assignment. And this leads us to question 1. So question 1, I have answer gets input. And then I state question 1, do you know what type 2 diabetes is? Please answer yes or no. Okay. And then I follow this up with 3 spaces. I picked 3 spaces because as I was practicing and looking at this, I wanted to make sure there was enough space between the question and the answer just to make it a little easier to see. I'm thinking about my audience here. Our audience is probably going to be a lot of adults, and those adults might not see very well. And so we want to make sure things are nice and spaced out so that they can read and it doesn't just look like a big globby mess on the screen. And then the next thing we have is the conditional. So I need to space there. Let me space that out. So line 28, I have my hashtag for conditional. And then line 30-ish is where my first conditional starts. So I say if answer equal yes. And I also went ahead and threw in or. answer equal capital yes. Because I'm trying to anticipate what the user might actually type. I could even say or answer equal and all caps yes. Because you know there's several different variations of the word yes. I want to cover everything that people could possibly want. Okay, so now I did something a little different here. If they answer yes that they do know what type 2 diabetes is, I instead of giving them extra information that they might already know, I invite the user to tell me. So I created a second variable here called user answer. And then I assigned it to input, and then I say, good, tell me what you know about diabetes. And so I don't necessarily have to do anything with that information. It's just going to provide the user an opportunity to type out what they already know about diabetes. And again, I followed that up with 3 spacers, okay, because we want to make sure that we have plenty of space between our questions. The next part of the conditional is elif, answer equal no, or answer equal capital N, no. And here's where, if they said no, that they do not know what type 2 diabetes is, now I tell them. And I tell them in 3 different print statements so that it's not all gobbledygooked together on the screen, okay? So I start with, I'm being witty here, well then. And then I tell them what I found on the internet. Type 2 diabetes is a serious disease. It affects the way the body uses sugar for energy. I add in a spacer because I don't want all these lines of code crammed together. Then my next print says diabetes happens when the body either doesn't make enough insulin or it doesn't use insulin properly. Again, I have another spacer. Then I say this causes high levels of sugar, which can lead to health problems. And then I follow that up with 3 more empty spaces. So again, I want to make sure that this is readable, and that's why I'm including all these extra spaces. And then for good measure, I include the word else. Else is going to catch anything else they might type aside from yes or no. And I decided to err on the side of caution here and say, okay, what if they accidentally hit the wrong button? I'm still going to tell them about diabetes. So what I did under else is I basically copied what was here, but I added in this one simple line. I said, I'm not sure what you said, but, and then I tell them all about type 2 diabetes. I tell them what it does. I tell them what happens. Just like up here. Do you see how a lot of this matches? That saves you time, because that means you only have to type it out once. And then you can copy paste. And again, same thing. I got 3 prints underneath here. Okay, and so that's question number 1 for me. I have an if, an elif, and an else. If they say yes, elif they say no, they don't know, and an else to cover our bases in case they accidentally button mash or they just somehow misspelled yes or no. Okay? And then we move on to question number 2. Now, question number 2 from your assignment on Monday asked you about the causes of the disease. So in my answer, remember I'm still using my answer variable here. I say answer gets input. Question 2, do you know what causes diabetes type 2? Please answer yes or no. Again, I have some space here because I like space. And then here's my conditionals. And so I can even come in here and go conditional for question 2. Okay? Comment tags are important, folks. So I start up with if answer equals yes or answer equals capital yes. User input. So I'm using this second variable again. See how up here I created user input or user answer. I'm going to use it again, and I say user answer input good. Tell me what causes diabetes. And it allows the user to type in what they know. Okay, followed by 3 spaces because we like space. Then our elif answer no, and that is followed up with some information about what causes diabetes, and it's nice and spaced out. And when it prints, because I've got our extra spaces down here, it's going to be nice and and spread out on the screen and easy to read. And then again, down here for else. Else covers my bases. And so I basically repeat what I said here for no, except I add in, I'm not sure what you said, but, and then I tell them about what causes diabetes. And so it looks like this. Let me hit run for you. Whoops, it does not like what I put up here. Let's just say that. Answer gets Y. Okay, here we go. This interactive questionnaire will teach you about type 2 diabetes. Don't worry if you don't know, I will help you. Question 1, do you know what type 2 diabetes is? Please answer yes or no. So I'm going to say no, because I want you to see what happens here. So I say no, I hit enter, and do you see the space? Do you see? This is where those extra spacers in print are coming in. They're leaving plenty of space so that things aren't all crammed together. So now I can read, type 2 diabetes is a very serious disease that affects the way the body uses sugar, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Then it gives me question 2. Do you know what causes diabetes? This time I'm going to say yes, because I want you to see what that looks like. So if I say yes, it says good, tell me what causes diabetes. And I can say it is caused by the body not making enough insulin, or the body not using insulin correctly, or family genetics, or obesity. Those are all things that are linked to causing diabetes type 2. And then I hit enter. Now notice where that goes. It goes right here. So the person is still going to have a record of everything that was said, because right there's the answer that I just typed for that second question. Now you're seeing an end program here because I've only got 2 questions so far. Okay, I've only got 2 questions so far. Now, here's what I can do, and this is where it's going to make your life a lot easier. Do you see how I have question 2 here? So if I just come up here to question 2, I highlight my input, I highlight my if, else, I go control and the letter C to copy, then I can come down here, give myself some space, and go control and the letter V for victory, and that pastes everything I copied. And now I can set it up for question 3 instead of question 2. So in question 3, which according to your research is all about the symptoms, question 3 I can say, do you know what the symptoms of type 2 diabetes are? Question mark. Please answer yes or no, period, space, parenthesis, quotation mark. And then conditional for question 3. So if they say yes, good, tell me about the symptoms, symptom, of diabetes type 2. And I see that I keep changing up whether I'm capitalizing it or not. I need to research and find out if it should be capitalized or not. I have not done that. So there, I fixed that one. And so now down here, if they say no, now here's where I got to start changing my prints that are already here, because I now have to talk about the symptoms, because this is question 3. So I can say people, P-O-P-L-E, with type 2 have, may experience lots of symptoms, period, quotation mark, parenthesis. And here's where I say they are often thirsty, all the time. They can feel tired, have blurry vision. Notice I left a comma at the end because I'm going to continue that sentence down here. They have cuts or wounds that don't heal very fast. And they can have, again, I'm just kind of spacing this out so people, it's readable. Remember, know your user. They can have numbness or tingling in their extremities. That means hands or feet. Okay? Period, quotation mark, parenthesis. Okay. So that is those are the symptoms. Okay? Those are the symptoms. So remember down here for else I kind of already use what I have. So else I go control. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come down here to else. I'm going to paste that same thing in. And here's where I can go. Let me copy this so I don't have to repeat that. Control X. I don't know what you said, but people with type 2 diabetes may experience lots of symptoms. Okay, so do you see what I did there? Do you see how I use the power of copy-paste to do question number 3? Okay, and so that's how this can continue on until we get to the very, 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 very end. Okay, the very, very end, because you're going to need question 4, and you're going to need question 5, and question 6, and question 7, and question 8, and then question 9, which is where you give them maybe a website to go visit, or a doctor in town that specializes in that, or a YouTube link or something for question 9. So you're going to need all of that. So then, after you get all of that, at the very, very end, you're going to have some final print statements where you say something like, thank you for participating in my questionnaire about type 2 diabetes. Okay, print. I hope you found it informative. Period. And you could even be witty and you can say, it took me a long time to write the code. And I'm going to do like a little smiley face, quotation mark, parenthesis, and then print, and then thank you. Whoops. Print, thank you. Okay? Or I don't have to add that last thank you because I already said thank you. But you get the idea. You say something at the very end so that, let's run it one more time. Okay? Let's say I say, I don't know why that's there all of a sudden. Let me get that out of the way. It's kind of weird. Let's say I say yes, and I answer what I know about diabetes, and then I say no, and I get that, and then for the third one I say no, and I get that information, and then I would do that again and again and again for all the questions, and then at the very end I would get, thank you for participating in my questionnaire about type 2 diabetes. I hope you found it informative, yada, 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 yada. Okay? That's how it would work. Now, a couple shortcuts here. You notice how I'm putting these prints in. There is a way, if you remember, there is a way to use the \n to give yourself multiple lines at one time. You are going to have to either remember how to do that, or you're going to have to find it in your old code that you've written. But there is a way to bypass putting print in there and instead using \n. And the backslash is the button above the enter key. And remember, your enter key is that weird arrow above the shift key on your keyboard. Okay? And then what else is there? So notice I just used straight old conditionals, yes or no. I didn't do any nested loops. I didn't do any keeping scores. I didn't do any while loops. So you can certainly make this as fancy as you possibly want. The fancier the better, the more points you will get. Okay? So one last time. This is what it looks like. This is your conditional. We use two variables, answer and user answer, and you have to do this for 9 total questions from your research. Okay, I hope this video helps. Toodles!